Hey, welcome back. In this video series, we're going to explore the chemicals of happiness, joy, pleasure, and satisfaction. Specifically, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. You'll learn how to use them intentionally to improve the quality of your life, experience more fulfillment, and live the life that you're meant to live. We're going to start with dopamine. Dopamine is a powerful tool, and you need to learn how to use it properly. In order to do that, you need to understand how it works and how you can work with it. Dopamine is an experience of pleasure that goes away. Then we continue to seek more of it. Pleasure is a momentary surge. It's experienced through the five senses. Think scrolling on social media, a warm blanket on a cold day, a cocktail on a beach, buying a new purse or a new car. These experiences cause pleasure, and the experience of pleasure goes away as soon as you get the thing that you want. Your dopamine level drops, and then you want more or you want something else. Happiness does not depend on the five senses. It's an internal experience of enjoyment and calm. Happiness is an attitude and a habit. We'll talk more about happiness in another video, but I wanted to mention it here because people confuse these two things. Many people think that pleasure and happiness are the same thing. And if I just experience more pleasure, eventually that will lead to happiness. But that's not how it works. Dopamine is associated with with motivation and drive to create a better future. It's future focused. It drives innovation, evolution, and it's the desire to go and seek things. In doing so, the opportunity exists to develop your skills, talents, abilities, and realize more of your potential, and to become who you're meant to be. As long as you're intentional about how you're getting the dopamine, it will motivate you to pursue things that you don't already have. Happiness, on the other hand, can only be found in the present moment. It's gratitude and the enjoyment of what you already have. It's the here and now. Pleasure and happiness are both important, and we need a good balance of both. Dopamine is responsible for all that we've achieved and created in the world, both good and bad. Dopamine is a double-edged sword. It can radically improve the quality of your life or completely destroy it. In this video series, my intention is to bring awareness to the many ways that you're already getting destructive dopamine hits and how you can change that and choose to use dopamine to your advantage to grow. Think of dopamine as a currency that can work in your favor. So let's dive in. We're hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Humans have a natural impulse to be more, do more, create more, have more, and keep moving toward a better future. Dopamine is released with the anticipation of a positive outcome, the desire to pursue and grow, to experience, have, be more. It's natural. The reward and punishment part of the brain is the dopamine center. It's the green spot on the slide. Pleasure and pain are always in this dynamic dance. A natural balancing act is happening. Your brain will always seek this balance. Every high is followed by a low. Every pleasure by a pain. This is a natural cycle. And you have a natural dopamine base level. So any deviation from neutral creates an experience of pleasure, a high, or pain, the low. Or should I say pleasure and pain. When you tip the scale toward pleasure, you release some dopamine, and then you the natural high, and then it's followed by the low. Okay, again, it's a natural cycle. If you stay present with the discomfort or the pain, your brain will naturally find its way back to balance. You need to be here for all of it, but most of the time, you're not. None of us are. When we dip into the low, If you can allow yourself to experience it, your brain will naturally come back to balance. And remember, this too shall pass. When you experience the pleasure, enjoy it fully. And know, this too shall pass. But we don't want to go there. We want to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So instead of experiencing the low, we go and get another drink, grab our phone, we go for another dopamine hit. Repeated engagement leads to dopamine depletion, especially when the dopamine hits are not really natural and they're not moving us toward our highest potential. Eventually, the pleasure becomes shorter and weaker, and the pain becomes stronger and longer. This lowers your dopamine baseline, making it harder to experience pleasure at all. You receive positive dopamine hits and pleasure, and you actually increase the baseline when you're pursuing and working towards something that's exciting and meaningful, that allows you to develop more of your potential and thrive. The pursuit itself creates the dopamine, the effort, the wins along the way, the small and big successes, the progress, the creativity, the achievement and the accomplishment, exploring your edge. It makes you come alive. The dopamine hit keeps you motivated to get the next one. You're growing and realizing more of your potential, and you're making progress in life. When you get dopamine in an unnatural way, without working for it, without the pursuit, this is how dopamine becomes destructive. In fact, it lowers your dopamine base level and it robs you of motivation and drive. Think coffee, chocolate, beer, wine, cigarettes, weed, drugs, social media, Facebook and Instagram likes, TikTok videos, Twitter, Netflix binging, online games where every point and prize, every new level, every ding and ping and sound and celebration creates another dopamine hit, keeping you coming back for more. Think shopping, gambling, porn, entertainment, junk food. Remember, dopamine is an experience of pleasure that goes away. Pleasure is a momentary surge. And then we continue to seek more of it. This type of dopamine hit does not contribute to your growth or the development of your potential. In fact, it weakens it. The more you get these cheap dopamine hits, the less pleasure you'll experience and the more miserable you're going to feel. Depression, apathy, laziness, no motivation to do anything. This is the problem with handing everything to children and doing everything for them. They don't learn the value of working for what it is they desire, and then they lack motivation and drive. And truly, this is the setup for addiction because they'll get that dopamine hit somewhere. And make no mistake about it, we're all addicted. Drugs are extremely problematic. In this slide, I'm going to demonstrate here the reason why they're so problematic. I know we know already, but especially like cocaine, if your baseline's at 100, it will give such a rush and such a release of dopamine, like up to 900. You could never possibly experience that with anything natural. So when you come down, you don't come down to your starting place back to 100. You actually go lower and you lower your dopamine baseline and it becomes harder to experience pleasure. It's so out of balance and then you feel miserable and you need more. That's why it's so addictive and so destructive. Opiates, alcohol, nicotine, cocaine, amphetamines, including speed, crystal, pep pills, any kind of uppers, common ADHD medication given to children and adults. It significantly increases the amount of dopamine that's released by the neurons in the brain's reward center and ultimately lowers the dopamine baseline. Heavy use pain medications called opioids also decrease the amount of dopamine available in the brain. All emotions are neutral. We're meant to experience the full range of emotions, not wallow in them, just experience and allow them without judgment, with curiosity. Be present with what you're experiencing right now and allow your brain to balance it out. These are the things we work on in the emotional resilience coaching calls. Pleasure and pain cycles can be short, occurring several times a day, or longer cycles like weeks, months, or sometimes years, like the high of summer followed by the low of winter. When we avoid experiencing the pain, which is natural, we suffer. Suffering is not natural. Pain is inevitable, and suffering is optional. Modern life, with its many conveniences and pleasures, is causing a huge deviation from neutral. The wealthiest nations in the world are experiencing the most depression, addiction, mental illness, and suicide. In the next video, we're going to start discussing solutions and get really clear about how we can use dopamine to our advantage. But just to give you a little hint, it's about pursuing a mission that is exciting and honorable. You're going to be challenged no matter what you do. So choose the challenges that will allow you to grow and be the best version of you. Focus on your future self. I'll see you soon.